Welcome into SSD Mythbusters, our podcast tackling all the information and myths about Social Security disability law and getting you all the information you need, one topic at a time. And we do that here by asking our SSD in-house expert, our attorney Josh Worley, who has been doing this for a long time. He's really old, and
watch it.
and so he's gained a lot of
experience.
Yes,
gray hairs.
There we go.
Gray in the beard.
We'll call him experienced, not old.
Yes.
He's gained a lot of wisdom
Yes.
through the years, helping people with disability law. And so what we do is we just kind of ask this question. I play the role of you guys out there because I don't do this. So I usually probably have the same questions many of you have. So we're going to do this again today. So Josh, our topic is, do benefits last forever? It feels like a song there. But so what we're trying to get at is if we have people that we help try and get approved for disability. And there's this, when you get them approved, there's this great excitement. Finally, I'm getting approved. Maybe I'm getting some back pay. But then, does it last forever? Do they expire? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about this because it certainly is a topic that is on the minds of people that are on disability benefits, and typically we've got people that have been on disability benefits for a while because they start worrying about, okay, are my benefits going to get cut off? And the answer is, for everybody that is on Social Security disability, they will get they will kind of fall under what is called a continuing disability review. CDR for short is the way that it's the term. Continuing disability review just means that at some point down the line, Social Security will check in with you to see how you are doing and ask if, they'll want to know about what how your health is going. Are you continuing to see doctors? And they want to know, do you continue to be disabled? Because the reason they do that is because if someone's on disability, they don't want to pay them for 30 years and they improved in a big way 3 years after they got on it, but yet they've continued to receive disability for years. So this continuing disability review, for most people, they receive this continuing disability review within 3 years of getting approved. And typically it's kind of on a 3-year rotation. It can be if your health issue is more of a permanent thing that would not expect to have any kind of improvement. Let's say that's late stages of MS or something like that. Then they're on a 7-year rotation. So they're not going to get that as often. But when I say you're going to fall under this continuing disability review, that means you will receive a questionnaire in the mail, and Social Security will ask you about how are you doing? Are you continuing to see the doctor? Are you continuing to have problems? If you are having, if everything is still the same and you're still going to the doctor and still all the same issues, then as long as you fill out that form and you return it, then you will likely stay on the benefits, and they're not looking to actively go out and boot you off. But it is important when you get that questionnaire that you complete it and return it.
Okay. I would imagine for a lot of people, they feel like they've crossed this hurdle. I finally get approved, and now you're saying I got to go through this next step. Mm-hmm. But it feels like what you're telling us is this process is obviously not re-reviewing everything they've already gone through. They're not applying for disability.
No, they are not. And it really, it's not something that you need to be scared about. You just need to be aware that that's out there, that you're going to get something in the mail at some point. Just don't ignore it. Complete the form and return it. And huge percentage, I don't know the exact percentage, but huge percentage of people stay on those benefits. It's pretty rare for people to be booted off those benefits. And so what happens is if you get that form and you return it and there's something that's kind of a red flag to them that gives them the thought that maybe you have improved, then they'll send you a second longer questionnaire that gets even more detailed and and that is also something to fill out and return. But it's a process. But the initial form that you receive, it's not long. It's not something to be scared about. It's not a full, complete review of everything that you've ever done and everything that you've ever told Social Security. It is just a short form.
Okay. What are the biggest red flags that get those to trigger a bigger review from Social Security?
The biggest red flags is any kind of suggestion that maybe if you've stopped going to the doctor, that's a red flag. If you give any kind of indication that you're better and that you've returned to work in some capacity, even if it's not a full-time job, if you've returned to work, then those are certainly some things that can potentially trigger the longer questionnaire. Other red flags is just not completing the form and not submitting it. But those are some things to be aware of, for sure.
So it sounds like it's not too big of a deal, but a couple of things we've got to be mindful of. You have to continue going to the doctor.
Sure.
What if someone doesn't? They're just like, I'm approved, I'm tired of going to the doctor, they don't help me anyway.
It's very likely you will get booted off benefits if you're no longer going to the doctor. It's very important. I tell all my clients, after we've got them approved, I tell them all, make sure you continue to go to the doctor. Number one, to try to get better, to try to feel better and that kind of thing. The other reason is that if you're on disability, you need that ongoing proof for that continuing disability review that comes out at some point 3 or 4 or 5 years down the line.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we know, don't panic if you get the form.
Right.
It's
don't
coming.
freak out. It is coming.
And, most people, it's not a big deal at all. Send it off. But we absolutely, the biggest way that you could get off benefits is to ignore that form. So don't ignore it because you're afraid of some bad news.
Right.
It's not a full review. It's a much simpler process. Mm-hmm. And as long as you've done the things that you've talked about, we go into the doctor, complete the form truthfully, and you haven't returned back to work in some significant capacity, it sounds like most people just get to stay on their benefits.
Yep, that's exactly right. Huge percentage stay on those benefits.
Okay. All right, so for this one, our myth of do benefits last forever, I guess the answer is it can, but it's going to take some things you've got to do along the way.
Right.
We've mentioned this form, the disability review form, you called it a CDR.
CDR, continuing disability review, is the language.
And you can probably expect to get that every 3 to 4 years, and definitely don't ignore that. So.
And let me just say, by just a caveat to that, is that it's not an exact formula. So it's not, you don't need to, if your last continuing disability review was 3 years ago, then don't be looking for that form to come in the mail exactly 3 years down the line. It could be 4 years down the line, it could be 5. Sometimes it kind of depends on where the Social Security Administration is with their staffing. I mean, there's a lot of different things that come into play. So don't freak out also if it's been longer than 3 years and you've not received that form. That's not a red flag. So there's not an exact formula on that.
Right. Okay. So you got to complete the form if it comes. You can't ignore it. Doesn't sound like it's too big of a deal if it does come in. So,
yep.
All right. Good info. If you need more information, want to learn more about this topic and more, you can visit us at our website for our law firm, which is the Injury and Disability Law Center. That's at idlawcenter.com. Josh has a nationwide practice. You help people all over. I assume you get questions periodically, even from clients that will say, I got this CDR form. Do I panic? So you can call if you need some help or have any questions. But hopefully you found this helpful, and we will see you next time.